I think there's huge opportunities. Once again, once we move past the concept that data is the new oil, to the sense that the use of data, the momentum, the connection, the collaboration around the data industry is actually what will spark real growth and development. I think that there's huge opportunity for ways in which different mechanisms can be set up to help inform decision making. I mean, ultimately, you've got to think about what the goals are between public and private, and if they are informed decision making, if they're economic opportunity, if they're building of democracy, then I don't think that there's much that needs to be, different between public and private. And obviously, private is interesting. I mean, there's business and civil society and academia and others. Maybe they fit in public, but I'd say, like, for example, this emergence of data trusts and mechanisms of which there's been some public issues, like Sidewalk, Toronto, and others. But I think if that model is able to be gotten right, where public and private data is able to be joined in a space that respects all the privacy and security of the data needed, but that aggregate views are able to be pulled by the private sector from public information and from the public sector from private information without either having access to raw data. I think that's a huge opportunity. I also think that it's really in the private sector's interests to start to meet governments as meet the public sector as a unique consumer. And so stop trying to sell rote solutions, but trying to understand the needs and build in a way that will support them. I also just think that this opens up a huge amount of opportunity for SMEs around, customization, education, literacy, implement of pilots, building of extension pieces of technology that use data. I think there's opportunity for civil society there, as well as for universities to really expand out. But fundamentally, I think this needs to all happen within the context that a city has a data policy, that it has an understanding of its data and the rights around it, that it's got its priorities straight around the development goals, citizens having more access to rights, more services, more informed, inclusive development, smart growth. When it gets those metrics right, and it builds policies and plans around that, it means the private sector can come in and support those. I think without that, what happens is that there's a lot of leakage, or there's a lot of things happening in black boxes, work being done that will never be shared in terms of learning or infrastructure or anything with the city. And so it's sort of stuck there to be rebought again every 5 years or whatever it is, or continue to pay a license fee. And again, not that I'm against, corporate models around, around public-private collaboration around data. I just think that the terms need to change and the nature of the engagements need to change to be led by an informed buyer, which government needs to be. Then I think is huge. And then I think also, especially within South Africa, but I would say this is probably true across the continent, that the private sector has more of a responsibility around education of data, around data and data literacy, more investments that could be happening. Maybe that's a controversial view, but I think that it's not going to change unless we start to get everyone working together. So again, less of an us and them, and maybe more collaborative, especially education literacy. I mean, I think the biggest thing I care about is not building technology. It's not even the data for data's sake. It's capacity and education and literacy. If we can get those right across the board, I think that there will be the biggest impact.